So to create a blog post in WordPress, you go to Posts, Add New, and you're going to give it a title, and you're going to start writing. And obviously you're going to do this properly. I'm just doing it quickly for the video. And suppose that's your first paragraph, and I'll just copy and paste this. Just another paragraph. Now, if you click anywhere here, it's going to say you've got a P. That means this is a paragraph. But you might want a heading somewhere in the content. So I'm just going to give a brief explanation of this. You might want to put some kind of a heading. So a lot of people would think you'd put a bold, you'd make that bold. It's not a good idea for a number of reasons. What we want to do instead is, for start, this button over here, this toggles the lower toolbar, and that's not normally shown. So you want to make sure it's shown. By the way, this line at the top, that's specific to my blog, so ignore that. But you want to make sure you've got two lines here shown, and this one here is going to show paragraph. You don't have to select it, you just click anywhere in it and it'll show you what you're on. This is the same as this, sort of. Okay, so if I want to change that into a heading, which is what I should do, I just pick a heading here. So let's just say heading 3. Now it's showing me H3 down here, or heading 5, or whatever I want. Now what it looks like here is not what it's going to look like in your blog. It's just a representation of it, and you'll have to experiment with what these do to see what structure you want to use for your blog. You might start with heading 1 and your subheadings are heading 2, or you might start with heading 3 and your subheadings are heading 4, and so on. So that's really a formatting thing that I'm not going to get into. Sorry, but you would just format your blog post as you required. And by the way, the title is this. Okay, you're not going to put the title up the top of the blog post unless there's something wrong with your theme and it's not displaying the title, and you have to put the title in twice or something like that. But normally you wouldn't do that. I'm not really going to explain. I'll just briefly explain this. So bold and italic, you just select the text and make it bold or italic or both. This one here, strike through, same kind of thing, gives you this effect. This one is clear formatting, so you can get rid of any formatting you put in. Okay, you've got bulleted lists and numbered lists as you require. You're usually not going to align left align, right align, or justify text. Typically, if your blog is set up properly, you won't need to do that, but it depends. A lot of people think that they can format stuff around the place by putting in an image, on the left, and right align text. That's not how it works usually. I'll do an image in a minute. I'll show you how to do images. You can insert a link here by clicking here, the URL here, or you can go into here and you can get internal content there. You could link to an internal website on the blog. Break the links there if you want to get rid of a link. Tables are for tabular data. Don't use them for anything else. I won't get into how to use them here. They're complicated enough. You can make a full screen if you want with that, or undo. Again, this is the hide show at the bottom toolbar. We've already explained this and that. And you can do indents with this. A lot of this is theme dependent as well. Sorry, I think I skipped the block quote there. Block quote is one of those things that, if you want to do a quote from somebody, you can do a block quote. And the styling of that just looks like it's indented there, but it's actually a block quote. The styling of that is going to be theme dependent. And some of the other stuff as well. It's going to be too. I'm not going to explain this, it gets complicated, but suffice to say, if you paste anything into this, it will try to copy the formatting. I would advise never pasting anything into the editor, especially from something like Microsoft Word, because you can really mess things up. But this is sort of WordPress's way of making it not so bad. I've explained that. Special characters in there, usually you won't be using the read more. It depends upon your theme. Some themes you will have to, again, some themes you'll be using the excerpt here. It depends upon your theme. Emo icons. The text color, I generally would, recommend don't ever use a text color. If your theme's set up properly, you won't ever need text color. It's usually a bad idea, unless you have a specific reason for doing it, or unless your theme is not very well built and you don't have a color scheme going through it and you want to reimpose your own color scheme. And if you are going to do something like that, you'd want to always use the same color and remember where it is or something like that. But generally it's a bad idea if you want to keep your blog posts looking nice and neat. Another thing to point out is this guy over here. This should always be on the visual editor unless you know code. So this is the code that's on the text editor. Change it back to visual. Sometimes you'll get other editors up here, like there's a Fusion editor, and there's I can't remember the name. The most popular one is a Composer, I think it is. They basically, you want to stay in the default editor typically, unless you know how to use these other editors. Don't use them unless you know how to use them or are going to learn. Then all the rest of the boxes down here are going to be determined by your theme and your plugins, and also by how you've got this set up here. This is just totally for you, so you set this as you want it. Nobody else will ever see it. So some of these boxes here are not going to be relevant. I already talked about the excerpt. This is, never mind custom fields. It's nothing to do with what we're talking about. The discussion one is important. A lot of the time people think that if they come up here and they untick this, it's going to somehow stop comments on their blog post, but that isn't going to work. You want that turned on so that you can control it, because it just hides and shows this field down here, which you need. So how to turn it on and off: if I tick that, it allows comments. If I untick that, it doesn't allow comments. I'm just going to tick it to allow comments for this. Usually, this is an old thing. I think if you're into SEO, you'll know about this, but I mean, generally leave that unticked, or tick it if you want, but I don't think it really does much these days. Except for cause you some comment spam. So the rest of this stuff is all to do with my SEO and things like that. This is your publishing setup here. You can set stuff to be in pending review if you've got multiple writers and editors, or you can set stuff to publish in the future like this. Skip through these for a minute, and this is just a thing that's on my particular blog. Tags here, you can add tags if your blog uses them. If you have them, you don't have to add tags. You will want to categorize this. You should pick the categories you want it to be in, otherwise it'll just be in the default category. And you can add your own categories, add new categories if you want. This format up here, post format, there's a lot could be said about this. Without oversimplifying it, keep it on the standard blog post unless you know that one of these is going to work for you. You'll want to experiment with them. Some themes do a great job on some of these, some of them don't. Just because you have video doesn't necessarily mean you should put it in a video format. Standard will always work for everything anyway. It's just some of these will improve. For instance, if you've got a gallery of pictures and you put it in a gallery post, it might work really well. You just want to get to know these for your blog and see how they work out. That reminds me, I said I was going to show how to put an image in. If you want to put an image into your blog post, you want to decide which vertical line you want it to be on first of all. So suppose I wanted a blog post or an image to be over here. Well, this is the line. So typically, even if I want the image to be over here, I want to go to the far left. And you can put it anywhere in the line, but for the first one up, it has to be on the far left. So far left is the best. So now I want to pick the image, and I can pick one from my library or whatever. So I'll just pick this one, insert that in. The image goes in there. Actually, I skipped a bit here where I can go back into the edit like that, and you want to pick the next size above the size that you want. So if I wanted, you know, a 290 pixel wide image, I would pick this one. But if I wanted a 350, I could pick that one, but it'll stretch the image about a bit. So if I want a decent quality one, I'm going to pick this one. So I'm just going to go for a small one. The thumbnail, by the way, is cropped. It's square, so that's different. A lot of times you'll have a lot of different images here. You can do custom size here, but you're going to do that inside anyway. And also you should have an alternative text. I should have put that in earlier. So this is the image. Now I don't know why it's ended up over there, but it's actually aligned right. So normally it would have had no alignment. I'll just remove the alignment here. I think that's because I already had it in there. So this is what normally is going to be the case. So you are rarely ever going to want to have no alignment. It's only for little icons and stuff. So you pick your alignment left, right, and center, or center. So if I pick center, it puts no text on the left, none on the right, and the text above and the text below. So it was in the middle of a paragraph, so it happened to break the paragraph. I can make the size whatever size I want. This should be a little bit the size or less than the size of the actual image that size that I picked in here. So hard to explain that, but anyway, because it picks a different actual file depending on what I pick here. So, and then you fine tune it with these. But anyway, now next thing I do, if I wanted to, so I was explaining about align center, no text here, no text here. Align left wraps the text around to the right, and align right wraps the text around to the left. And that's how I get it to the right if I want it on the right, not by putting the cursor on the right. So I put the cursor on the horizontal line or vertical line I want it on, and I put the set it to right or left with the alignment controls. Do not try and put it a little bit out from the right or the left. You can do it in here with probably something crazy, but it's not worth the hassle. And okay, and the last thing, okay, I'm just going to save this. I'm going to publish it actually, so it'll publish. And if I click here, I'll open this up in a new tab, and you'll see it looks like this. And it's a bit messy, of course, but there's no featured image in it. Most themes are going to really, it'll work a lot better if you put a featured image in. So put a featured image in. If there's more than one, you just pick the first one. But you go down here, set featured image, and you could find an image on, you know, Google. Just make sure you've got the usage rights, or have your own image, or whatever you want to do. And I'm just going to pick this one, and make sure you put in alt text and set that as a featured image, and it goes in like that. And now when I update that, it's going to show me a featured image at the top as well. So some themes are going to work a lot better with featured images. Some of them it doesn't matter. Some of them don't have them. It depends. So if I go back here to my blog archive page, which is the page that shows all my blog articles, you can see, you know, this article here, it would be looking pretty boring if it didn't have the featured image. So that's what I've done here, and that's about it, I think.